Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you to my journey of game development. I'm going to begin a game dev log for my work in progress title, The Void. This will be my first time ever doing anything like that, actually, and this is actually my first game that I plan on actually releasing. I've been developing games since I was about 11 years old. However, I just now recently got into what I would say real game development. I've been taking classes at my local university in game development and computer science in general. And I've been working on this project for about a month now. So I don't have a whole lot of progress yet, but I do hope to have enough to release in about a year, so that I can get feedback quickly and learn about bugs and get feedback on what people like and don't like about the game. In general, there's several things that I already have done, or have mostly done. I've got the procedural generated backgrounds. I have started on those, sorry about that. I've started on the procedural background generation a little bit, and, well, let me just show you some of the gameplay that I have so far, too, before I start talking about it too much. So, this is the game that I have. These are the enemies. I'm just kind of doing a stress test here, so that's why I have over 70 entities pre-placed already. Here I have a sun with gravity, and there will actually be asteroids spawning out there, all the way out to here. So there you saw one of the asteroids fly through. Everything here is using real physics, two-dimensional based physics. The ships are all using the same code to move around and shoot and fly, so that's why it runs fairly well, even with this many enemies and bullets. You can see there are some slowdowns, though. Like I said, this is a stress test. The slowdowns are mostly caused by the video recording program itself. The AI definitely still is a work in progress, but it's already more advanced than I thought it would be by this time. So you can see these enemies will be, well, I shouldn't say enemies, these are neutral ships that will defend themselves and attack other enemies, and if you attack them, they will attack you back. This one is the captain. He's especially tough, so I'll take out his friend first. As you can see, the asteroids are actually orbiting around the sun. That's why the one just flew by like that. And they're not on rails or anything like that. They're orbiting using real physics, moving across the screen with real orbital mechanics. The ships, they do have a slight drag. I'm going to call it artificial drag, is what it'll be known as. And the ships will create that themselves in order to stop them from sliding around so much, and to make it easier for the player to manage. I might make it disableable, but I'm not sure about that. Most of the things are still very much a work in progress. Like I said, I've only been working on this for a little over 3 weeks now, so in general, the game progress is coming along really well. You can see a little bit of parallaxing there in the background. The stars and nebulas and everything like that you see are all procedurally generated using a seed, so they will generate the same every time, unless I give them a different seed. The game is going to have a roguelike feel with a procedurally generated aspect to it, as well as handcrafted aspects. I plan on doing a precision action-based style RPG game with a story-driven gameplay experience. But there will be a lot of mechanics in there that I plan on making, so that's why the game will take about a year, I'm thinking, before it's in a state that I can even release it. And by that time, it'll only be coming into early access after that year point. I plan on working on the game for probably another 2 years or so after I release the game onto Steam Early Access. But looking at how quickly the progress has been so far, it seems like I should be on par with about a year to release the game to Steam Early Access. A lot of the graphics are still work in progress. I do plan on going with a pixelated style like that. Here I'm showing off the orbital mechanics a bit. You can see how the asteroids orbit around the sun. The gravity actually does pull everything, and here I will demonstrate the fact that they're not on rails and that you can change their flight pattern and move them around and send them towards the sun or other ships. And I think that things like this might create a lot of cool, immersive, and emergent gameplay, where people can use the environment somewhat to their advantage. And there will be things like gravity guns and things like that eventually, so it's always fun. This enemy is just chasing that little civilian ship, it looks like. The civilian faction, they will run away from enemies, or you if you attack them. You do take damage from collisions. As you see, I took a little bit of damage. The damage that you take is based on the velocities, which direction you're traveling. So if you smash into something in a head-on collision with both of you traveling very fast, it'll deal a lot more damage than if you're just kind of pushing it like that. As you can see, it's hardly damaging me at all. I've been making this entire game solely by myself. So you can see here the sprite effect, actually. That's not a three-dimensional model, that's just a sprite, but I'm using normal mapping in order to create the illusion of three-dimensional objects, and just so that I don't have to hand shade the sprites myself. I can just let the game engine shade the sprites for me, depending on how the light is hitting it. So you can see the lights from my ship actually light up the rock as well, and my ship as well. All of the UI interface and everything, all the images, I've also made myself, so it's been a lot of work, but it's enjoyable, and I like doing it, so I plan on working on it more and more over time. As you can see here, it's being pulled back towards the sun now. Right now the level up mechanic is extremely simple. It only gives you health, shields, and energy every time you level up. But eventually I plan on adding a stat system where your ship is an artificial intelligence that actually grows more intelligent. It's a form of neural network, an extremely advanced neural network, basically, that this is all the lore. This isn't how it really works in the mechanics. I didn't invent some crazy neural network, but in the lore, your ship has an advanced neural network that controls it and learns as you overcome challenges and destroy things, basically, and do missions. Your ship will grow more advanced, and so you'll be able to put stats into your ship's abilities stat points into your ship's abilities as you advance in level. There will also be a feat system or perk system similar to other RPG games. I plan on doing an open world style with the game, so there will be many different star systems that you can travel to, and they will all have their unique differences. Some of them will have many handcrafted elements, and some of them will be almost completely randomly generated. I also plan on doing large-scale ships that will act as dungeons of sorts, and they will also be randomly generated, and you'll be able to board these ships and destroy them or talk to the people on them and buy items or equipment. So you saw those ships actually are taking a patrol pattern, so that's why they were flying off like that. Well, they're following the civilian ship who has a patrol pattern. I also plan on doing procedural item generation, which I've done in a few prototypes myself before, but I've never really released any to the public except for a small StarCraft 2 mod that I've made called Monstercraft RPG 2, if you'd like to check it out. So the procedural item generation shouldn't be too difficult to implement once I actually implement an item system, which I've yet to do. As you can see here, it's going to be kind of a bullet hell style game. You'll be dodging lots of bullets throughout the game. As you can see, the AI is pretty basic, but he actually got me there. So the game I do plan on making fairly difficult, so there will be difficulty settings for those who do not like the hard difficulty of my game. There's no sounds in the game yet, as you probably noticed. However, I do plan on adding sounds eventually, but I just don't have the time right now or the expertise to make the sounds myself. So I'll have to find somebody to help me with that most likely, or look up how to do it online. The ship will be customizable, so this ship that you see here will actually be made up of the items that you pick up and equip to your ship. And I do plan on having some sort of character customization as well. I want to have some sort of idea, basically, where you decide your origin and your race and maybe some traits about yourself as well as your starting stats when you begin the game, and that will determine your starting location and the first bit of the game. Kind of like Dragon Age Origins, the first one. Here you can see the AI fighting each other as it's not real intelligent, but they do manage to fight each other all right. And they dodge around and dodge the bullets and each other. The game is not optimized at all right now, so if you see any slight stuttering or frame rate issues, that's just the recording, or it's also due to the fact that the game is not optimized in the slightest yet. And there were lots of entities on the screen, all moving around, acting on physics constantly, with no object pooling or anything like that yet. I do plan on having a lot more sprites in the game, more enemy types and more ship parts and stuff. The enemies I plan on doing procedurally generated as well, so they will actually be ships just like your ship with a bunch of procedural generated items, and then the harder enemies will be much more difficult and have much better items, and you'll have the chance of actually getting the items that they have when you destroy them. I plan on adding planets that orbit around the stars as well, and the planets will be places where you can get quests as well as other things. Here I'm showing off the explosions. I added explosions to my bullets to show that the easily modifiable, so every time they hit something you can see they blow up, or when they just make it to the end of their stream they blow up. But the sun that you're seeing right there is very, very work in progress. I've made that image in probably 2 minutes in graphic image manipulation program, but I do plan on having somebody better than me go over the art if the game gets funded. If not, then I will just continue using my own crappy art, but I don't think my art is that bad, honestly. But that's also why I'm doing this devlog series, to get your guys' opinion on that kind of thing. What you like, what you don't like, if you think this game has any potential. Just kind of let me know. Those kinds of things, you know? I plan on making a devlog about once every week, maybe once every 2 weeks. I haven't quite decided. I will work on this daily and add to it constantly and record little bits here and there in order to share with you my experience in making this game. I thank you for watching this video. If you made it to the end, then I definitely hope you're interested in the game, and I'd love to hear your comments, and like and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more devlogs on this game.